Hello, 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 hello. Just realized that I did a very stupid mistake. I wrote the message to send and I forgot to hit send button on Discord. So, well, that's my day after lunch. How's everyone doing? I hope you had a quick break, a nice one. And if you have not registered for the part two, there you go. There's the link to part two of our session of charting with D3.js and React. But we are first focusing on learning about SVGs, what SVGs are, which we have seen quite a few examples. And I think we have successfully, I would like to say that we have successfully understood how SVGs work. Okay, how like these shapes have been created pure SVGs, and I think it makes much more sense now to everyone. If you are new to this, if not, apologies, as I would say, because I'm not sure what else I can focus on which can help you learn this a bit better. But anyways, I'll try my best in whatsoever fashion as possible. But anyways, for the time being, this is what we accomplished in session one, and now we are in the session two where we'll just continue a bit more here. I want to show animations in SVGs, and from there we will take it to like from there we'll go to D3. Okay, so this second session will be a bit SVG and then going over to D3. So you will get an introduction to D3 today. Don't worry. Okay, cool. Now, let me just reduce the background music. So there is something when I'm silent because I sometimes go silent thinking like, how do I explain this? And at that time, you'll have the background music for your it break the silence. Oh, what am I saying for you? Anyways, if you're on Twitch, then please make sure that you have refreshed. And I can't tell this to people who are Twitch and have not refreshed. I don't know how to do that. Anyways, so that's one. And what else? You can find the part one on YouTube. If you have not followed along, you can learn everything that we discussed, and you can actually get the code base access by going over to this one. Wow, 4 stars and 10 folks. Nice. This is more than the previous one. Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, that helps stroke my ego a bit. Like, yay, that is good. Also, just a quick disclaimer: you can use, okay, focus on the words can and use all these projects on your portfolio, on your resume. I have no copyrights whatsoever. Just run with it. Okay, whatever you like, I would say. So yeah, you don't have to worry about it too much. Just go for, like, you can enhance this project, you can build up on top of it. All the projects that we will build, uh, you can kind of do some enhancements, do changes here and there, increase the use cases of it, and put it on your portfolio, put it on your resume, put it on your own website. Feel free to do all of that. Okay, and you can also contribute to this project. So if you think there is something that you can fix or you can enhance, raise a pull request. I am always happy to receive any pull requests, review them. Sometimes I'm late. Example, I think in the this one in the Doodle platform, there was a pull request, and I replied a bit late on it. I say late, but it's basically when I get time. Okay, so I left a comment last week on 25th of June. It was raised on 22nd of June, and then I found time on 22nd of June. Nice. And then there was an update on 23rd of June, and I didn't find time until 25th of June to actually reply to that comment. So I'm just sometimes, with work and stuff, because I also have a full-time job outside of it. Uh, so yeah, sometimes I just get busy, so I may not reply very quickly. But don't worry, that does not mean that I'm not around. I will take a look at your pull request. I will try to leave constructive feedback. I will appreciate when you do something nice. I think I did that in the other pull request, because that polygon idea was really nice, fantastic, I think I would say. So I'd appreciate if you do anything nice, and if you contribute to this open source project. Someone who watches these videos like 2 years down the line, they'll be like, oh, let me go and check the repository, and they'll be like, oh yeah, it does work. Right, it is here, and they have people who have contributed to it, and it has helped the community. So yeah, definitely do that. So there's your GitHub, and I hope you all registered. Okay, I cannot focus on it enough. And I am so sorry for that stupid mistake of mine where I wrote the message on Discord, but I forgot to send. So I'll wait for like not five-ish, 2-ish minutes. While I answer this question, what's D3? So D3 is a JavaScript library for bespoke data visualization. We talked in detail about the pros and cons and how it is different from other charting libraries in part one. So do watch that. If you need the link, let me share it. There we go. That is the Major League Hacking YouTube channel. And on the streams, you can find all the latest streams. Right. So yeah, this is part two, and there's the part one. Okay. And that's it now. I think I've been talking for long enough. Let's go and do some coding. So in our coding, what we have achieved so far, we have achieved this, as I was talking about a bit earlier. We have written M and L, and I want to write H in SVG. So let's focus on that. I am going to go away from screen so that you can focus completely on the screen. And let me copy this SVG, paste it right here, reduce the size, increase the size, close, and now we have to write H, not MLL. We need to write H. Okay, cool. So now how do we do that? Well, very simply, once again, we want to follow our experience, our live coding experience, and I'm going to remove all of this. Okay, and let's go into inspect, go on this third tile, and M20 and M10 20. Okay, so position 10 20, that's where it starts from. And now for H, I can say that I want to go on the same axis, on x-axis 10 and on y-axis 100, which means where am I going? I'm going down. Okay, so I'm going down from here. So 10 and now 100, which means I'm going down. And next I want to go right, right? Um, so I can say that my x-axis will increase, but my y-axis will still be at 100. Oh, I should also change the fill color. Ah, it's too late. Anyways, actually not too late. Let me just say yellow, and I can change this. Okay, so oh, amber would be better for the time being. For the time being. Okay. Oh, amber is not a color. Orange. Okay. So I have gone right on the x-axis, but my y-axis, which is starting from 0, this is my 0 0. I'm 100, like 10 boxes down, so 100 pixels down, and I've said that okay, the y-axis remains the same, but the x-axis is 3 boxes right, which is 30 pixels, and there we go. Cool. Next, I want to go a bit up. Okay, so my x-axis will remain the same, but my y-axis would be a bit up. uh, I think instead of 60, I think a 50 would be better. Oh, no, 70. Okay, so 70, yep, is 7 boxes down. And now I want to go right. So I can say that my x-axis should be 70, y-axis should also be 70, and that means now I've gone all the way to the right and all same length on the from the top. Now I want to go down. Okay, my x-axis will remain the same, but my y-axis increases. So my x-axis will still be 70 and my y-axis will increase to 100. Okay, so I know it looks like a weird shape, but this went here and then we went down. Now we want to go right. Okay, so my x-axis will increase, but my y-axis will remain the same. Okay, so now we have gone on the right, and now I want to go up all the way to the top. So my x-axis will remain the same, but my y-axis will be just 20 box, 2 boxes down. So my L would be 90, but my Y would be 20. Okay, so I've created some sort of shape here. Now we need to go left from here. So my y-axis will remain the same, but my x-axis will decrease. Decrease by 20. So I'm going to say this is going to be 70/20. It doesn't show it, but well, it is there. Now we need to go down a bit. So my x-axis will remain the same, but my y-axis needs to increase by 1, 2, 3 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50. Okay, so my x-axis will remain the same, but my y-axis will be 50. Okay, we are reaching somewhere. And now we need to traverse all the way to the left, which means we need to be at this exact 30 boxes. And how much down? This would be 50 down, right? So L30, Y. So a line to X30 and Y50. And now we need to go all the way to the top, which means my Y will decrease. Okay, it will become 20 and my X will remain the same. So my L line to 30 and 20. And there we go, MLH. Isn't that complete? Yep, it looks like it. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it right here so that it does not get lost. And there we go, MLH. Isn't this cool? Any questions, anyone? Okay, I'm going to take the silence as golden. Uh, I know, right? It is nice. So, M, L, and H. The only problem is MLH brand colors. I don't think this is yellow. Oh, and they use SVG as well. Okay, cool. Uh, class is CLS4, which is this color. Okay, so I can try that. I can say instead of filling with orange, fill it with this exact color. Okay, similarly for the blue, it is filling it with exact this color instead of that blue. And now if you go, it is the brand color, and the M is again going to be this exact color and not red, so that it follows the brand guidelines. And I don't know if it is noticeable, but it definitely changed a bit of contrast there. Another way to test it is to, let's say, have different color, FACE22. There we go. So we know that the hex colors do work. Cool. So M, L, and H. They are so far from each other because if you remember, as I said uh, in the previous session, that the SVG boxes have unfortunately a predefined width and height. Now we can say that, you know what, for every SVG, the width should be 0 and the height should be 0, and then we end up with a mess. We don't want that. What about all the paths inside the SVG? That doesn't help, unfortunately. Also, this is a valid syntax. It is SVG, and then inside that there's a path. So you can now have nested selectors in CSS. I don't know if you're aware about it. In normal CSS, you can have nested selectors, basically. Okay, cool. I don't think there's anything else here. We have successfully written ML and H. And let me push all of this before we move ahead. And I am going to do a bit of cheating. I'm going to push it on the same commit as before. Okay. So I have three commits. There was the initial commit, which is when I created the repository. Then there was session one initial commit, which is what I pushed in the previous session. No, this is when I pushed uh, the git ignore and the readme. And session one, draw SVG shapes. This is where we actually drew the shapes. We created our index HTML, we created our index CSS, and now I'm going to rewrite this commit. Okay, remember this number, EE3C025. This is the commit ID, and I want to rewrite this commit. So why am I doing it? Because I want to put all of it together. Okay, that's the only reason. So that when someone goes into commit history, they can kind of see, oh, these were the things that were changed or built or learned in the first session. I'm going to do git add, and then I'm going to do git commit dash dash amend, which means I want to amend the previous commit. And then I'm going to do a git push, but with the force saying force push and force rewrite the commit. Okay, so it was this number EE3C025, and I reload, and that changes. Okay, because the commit history has changed. It now has the H as well, ML and H. There we go. And yeah, that is exactly what we have here. Okay, with exact brand colors as well. Cool. Now, the next thing that I want to do is just show a bit of animation in SVGs before we move ahead. Okay. Also, one last thing in SVG that we definitely want to see is grouping. Okay. So let me create a. So a group element or the G element is used to group a shape together, and then you can kind of give an attribute like transform, okay, to the group, which means it is applied to the whole group. It's similar as a div tag. Okay, so example, you have a div tag and you let me come back on screen. Okay, you have a div tag and you want to style all the elements inside that div tag. So you can, if you want to style everything inside this row class, I have wrapped it in a parent div, and I can style this row to say that the background is supposed to be uh, pink, and that is important. So if I do that, that means I've said that all the things inside this group need to have this exact, don't need important, I think. Okay. Need to have this background color applied. Okay. So every element inside this group has this thing applied on it. Okay. Attribute applied on it. So similarly, we can use the group in SVGs to group together certain elements and apply certain attributes on them. It will make much more sense when we actually start coding. So let me go away from screen and let's do it. Okay, SVG. And I want to create a rectangle. So we have created a rectangle before, so I'm not going to be writing it again. I'm going to take this rectangle and I'll add it here. Cool. Next, I want to create a circle. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to copy it inside the same SVG next to each other. So there's my rectangle, there's my circle, and now I want to group them. So I can just add a G here saying that here you go, this is a singular group. Does that make a difference? Unfortunately, no. But what we can do now is that I can add an attribute to it. I can say there is a transform attribute, okay, which I want to say it should translate 50 comma 50 and rotate at 45 degrees. Okay, and there we go. So things are rotated 45 degrees and it has translated or moved things by this much position. Now this is not looking good, so let me just quickly change uh, height, let's say 50, width 50, fill color. Oh, you know what? I can do color conjure. And I can take this generated color and go like, yes, there you go. And I want to take a slightly contrasting color, and that will be my circle. And for the circle, I can just say that the CX is 25 to the right, CY is 25 from the top, radius, let's leave it at 20. Okay, there we go. So now we end up with this particular shape. Okay. So what have I done here? Let's again do some live coding. Uh, if I don't do this translate, okay, I make it 0, 0. It goes up, top, 0, 0. Okay, starts from there. If I make it 10, comma 0, you are showing it. Okay, if I make it 10, comma 100, it means it goes down. Okay, so the idea here is you can literally end up with greeting card icons here, right? That's what Canva example for example does. Okay, if you have used Canva, you can have your element and then you can say, oh, I want to put it here, I want to put it there. Now you can do it via code. You can create shapes that overlap with each other, right? So if I take this one more group, apply it, okay, and I say this is 10 comma 50, this is 20 comma 50, and they are now overlapping with each other. Okay, and I can remove the circle from here, and this is what I end up with. So now I can overlap the shapes, right? So that's the idea, that you can group and apply certain transformations on top of each other. uh, okay, but let's focus on this one. So you understood what the translate does, right? It takes it to a certain position. The rotate, I think that would make much more sense. If I say rotate 5 degrees, it rotates 5 degrees from this axis, okay, from this 50 comma 50, which is 1 2 3 4 5 boxes in and 5 boxes down. 1 2 3 4 5 50. Okay, so from here it has rotated by 5 degrees. What if I wanted to rotate like 90 degrees? It has rotated 90 degrees, but it then looks like a square. So it doesn't make sense. But what if I say 45? Then at this angle, it has rotated 45 degrees, and this is what we end up with. Okay. So I hope that makes sense. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Uh, okay. So there's a translate, which takes it to a certain position, and there's the rotate, and we have applied the group, which means you have grouped these elements together. Now, the rotate applies to both of them, but since the inside one is a circle, it does not really make a difference. But I can prove it by putting another one, which is 10 comma 10, and we need another color here. Hmm, okay, what if I say it is applied after the circle? Oh, because the x0 and y0. So I'm going to say the x is 25 and y is also 25, so that it ends up in the center. Yep, and the transform applies to that as well. Okay, it is also rotated 45 degrees. uh, trying to create a shape, but it is not going well, let's just say. Nope, that would not work that ways. Okay, I am not going to spend more time on this, but there you go. You get an idea of what exactly you can end up with. Okay, and I'll move this actually. Mm, oh, perfect. Cool. uh what else? Nothing else actually. I think this is good enough. Let me change the radius of this to 10 as well, and I want this to be 10 comma 10. Okay, and I need a complementary color to this one so that it is brighter and more visible. Hmm, okay, cool. I think this is good. Anyways, so I think I'm spending too much time here. uh just trying to create a mountain with a sun. I'll have to focus more on it. So I need this one to be a complete square. I think I can achieve that by increasing the width and height to be, let's say, 50 comma 50, which means it increases here. Okay, so not 50 comma 50. It is 50 and it's starting at 25. So it should be 25 comma 25, I think. Yeah, there we go. Finally achieved it. Uh, cool. Any questions so far? So this is what I was trying to achieve, but Finally, it took me some time to reach there, but it's here. A fan, like, I can, I'd say, not a mountain. So this is the grouping element where to the group you apply uh, certain styles. Let's just say this is 60 comma 50, and that's it. The way around. This is 150 comma 75. Okay. Center of this box. What else? Oh, the animations. Yes, let's start with. So there will be two animations that I want to show you. There is one called as animate, and there is the other called as animate motion. Okay, so we'll focus on those two. There is another one which is called as animate transform, but I'm not going to look into it right now. But you can find about it by going over here and searching for animate. SVG animate transform MDN. MDN. My go-to documentation. So most of the things that I do learn about web development are from MDN documentation. And other than that, I also love to visit javascript.info. Okay, it's too much. There's too much here, but it's more of a reference website. If I have to refer something quickly. Okay, so I'm not going to focus on this, but I'm going to focus on animate. Okay, animate is one of the things that I've used, and animate motion is another thing that I have kind of used. Okay, so let's start with animate. Hopefully, you all have captured this till now. Uh, what we did here, and let me see. This is a grouping element, and now we want to do animate. Cool. So there's a SVG. I don't need the group, so I will get rid of it. There's a rectangle, there's a circle, there's a rectangle. I think I can just work with one of them. Uh, so I will do that. Let me take the last one. The width and height, I'm going to go for 100 comma 100. So now we should see a big rectangle. Okay. Okay, I think 100 comma 100 is too much. 25 comma 25. Let's start with that simple one, small one. Okay, so there's my rectangle. But if you have noticed, all of these have been self-closing. They do not wrap any element inside of them. Okay, they are self-closing. Okay, the div is not self-closing because it starts here, it ends here. It wraps these children, okay, around itself, inside itself. Okay, it wraps these children. So now to animate, we need to add animate, which is another attribute inside this rectangle. So I have to close it, and now inside this rectangle, okay, we are going to call or use animate. Okay, animate is self-closing. Okay, so let's quickly look at the documentation of animate. uh, so animate documentation says, like, here also example of rectangle, but as you can see, there's an animate, there's an attribute, values, duration, and a repeat count for how long should this happen. So this will remind you of, I don't know how old uh, people can remember, but on Windows there used to be these screensavers on Windows XP, I think, Windows 7 or Windows XP screensavers, I think. Yeah. These pipe ones or these circle ones, or there would be something which would, just move around. All that is just the SVG animate. If you have a SVG, you can animate it to move around the whole screen. Okay. Yeah, they used to touch one edge and then they would change color, and wow. Reminds me how old I am. Okay, so it has four attributes. Let me just copy paste these four attributes for like initially, and then we'll go over them. So I have copied and pasted these four attributes on inside a rectangle, and that does something. It makes this borders, okay, change. Okay. Let me increase the size of my rectangle so that it would make much more visible. It will make it visible. So these borders change. They go from pointed to rounded, and then back to pointed, and then back to pointed and rounded. So what it is doing is, so there's an attribute name. The attribute name can be x, y, rx, ry, fill, and a bunch of others. The values are the ones that are applied to this attribute. The duration is for how long should it be divided into, and how much time should it be repeated, like one time, two time, five time, 10 time. Okay, so let's change this attribute name. uh, let's say I want it to go, uh, I want to apply this attribute to, let's say, just y. So 050 is applied to y. What happens? As you can see, over 10 seconds, it is slowly moving up and down. But this is not good enough. I need it to move a bit more. So I say that 0, 5, 10, 50 is 0, and do it in 5 seconds. So this gap is less, and then there is more gap, and then it goes up. So 0, 5, 5, 10 is too less. So let's say 50, 150, 100, 50, 100, and then back to 50, then 5 and 0. And let's do 10, 25, 50, 100, 50, 25, 10. Okay, cool. So let's see. So this is my animation currently. Okay, so it's happening on the y-axis. What if I want to do this on x-axis? There we go. It goes over on the x-axis, and that's how it animates. I want to, let's say, also, if I want, I can also change the color of it. Okay. So I take this animate and I go like, the attribute name is fill, and I want it to be changing colors like orange to uh, gold to blue to pink, back to orange in 5 seconds, and indefinite. So now as it moves along, it's also changing the colors. Okay. 10, 50, 100, 50. Cool. So now you have done two animations to this one, where it moves in the x-axis and it also changes the color. What if I want to also move it in y-axis? Okay, why? Because it's fun. So I say that move in x-axis, also move in y-axis, uh, same values. Okay, so now does this remind you of your Windows thing where it goes X? So it also changes in X. Okay, don't forget that it's only going diagonal. You have specified X and Y. It changes in X, it also changes in Y. Okay, and it changes the color as well. Now you can take this and say, oh, when it actually is changing, I want to change the Rx values, okay, to 0, 50, and then back to 0 in 5 seconds, or 10, 50, and 0. 0, 10, and 0. Okay. So it also changes the borders here. Okay. So it's applying a animation on the x axis, and this is what you end up with, a really nice animation on x, y, the color, and also the rx, where is r is the radius on the x, where x is everything technically, on movement of x actually. Cool. Uh, you can find more attribute descriptions. I actually found it. Where was it? Animate attribute names. Animate attribute names SVG. So this was on the original spec. I think you'll have to find it on the original spec, which is here. Uh, nope, not this one. Hmm. Yeah, there we go. I think this one would be nicer. So there is attribute name x, y, the width, the height, and what else? Transform, it seems, and but that is on animate transform. There is definitely a fill somewhere. Okay, but we can try this example out. I think this would be a nice example. We need SVG, and there we go. So let's create a new div with SVG container. So I'm going to do a div, and I'm literally pasting what they had there before, uh, from the documentation, and I'm just going to give it a column. This is mine, and this is the one that I'm copying and pasting from the documentation. Not column. This needs to be SVG container. Let's see what it looks like. It is alive, and then it takes some time, and it slowly transforms, and there we go. It shows up like this. And this is definitely not an indefinite one, it seems. Okay, cool. You can read about it. I am going to add a link to this documentation, and I'll add it in a separate column actually, so that I do not mess up what I was doing. So there's a separate column for this one. There we go. Uh, what did I mess up? I messed up something for sure. Do I have a column inside of column? Oh, that was weird. Okay, anyways. Oh, M, L, and H, because they were on same line, it takes up more space here. That's fine. This is copied over. I am not going to go too deep into it. I'm just going to say copied from this website. Okay, perfect. And now, finally, for what I was showcasing. So animate is done. Animate transform is the last thing that I want to show. Animate motion, not animate transform, sorry. Animate motion. So animate motion. Okay, cool. So animate motion is to move an element along a motion path. You can define a path that I want you to move along this particular path. Example, imagine our solar system, because that is the best example that I can kind of come up with. So imagine our solar system. Our solar system, you can say, if our if the solar system, that the circles along which it moves is the path, and the earth is the basically the circle, I can use animate motion, or someone is a very higher entity is using animate motion basically on that to showcase kind of a solar system revolving around and rotating around. Okay. uh, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. But you get the idea of the solar system. So let's try and recreate that with one circle and one path line. Okay. Let me go over to this one, and now I want SVG. I don't want a rectangle. I want a path element which is going to be self-closing, and I want a circle element which will be self-closing. And no, it will not be self-closing because we want to animate the circle. So now circle will have animate motion inside it, which would actually be self-closing. Okay. So path defines the path along which the animation should occur. The element that will be animated would be circle, and the animate motion is where we'll define the whole what do you call attributes? No. Yeah, attributes. Okay. So we have path, circle, and animate motion. We will do it here first. So this is our focus one. Okay, this is the one that we are going to focus. Let's go over here and let's draw a path. I should have done the start of the D. So D equals, let's say it starts from M 10 comma 50. Is this how we were writing it? Do you remember, everyone? Space, but also you can write it in this format, which also works. So it is saying M 10 comma 50, which means it starts at position 10 and goes up to 10 on the x and 50 on the y. If I hover over it, it shows that this is my 0 comma 0. Okay, the next is I want to draw a curve of 10 comma 10 and then 90 comma 10 and then space 90 comma 50 and then okay, yes. So if I just stop at that, what have I done? So I have said I am trying to draw a curve 10 comma 10. If I change this 10 to, let's say, 10 is the x-axis and the y is 10 as well. If I change this to 0, okay, and remove everything else. I need, I think, at least one more. Mm, oh, interesting that it needs at least three more. Okay, cool. Anyways, so I'm trying to draw a curve here, and let's say I want this to be 80 comma 10 and this is 80 comma 20. 80 is x-axis, 20 is y-axis. So we start from 10 comma 50, and I am trying to draw kind of a circle, a semicircle. you can say that we are moving at 10 comma, I don't know, 100. 100 would be downwards. That's a bad idea. So you are moving upwards, okay, and we are moving along the x-axis towards upwards, and at some point we stop. This is sharp, and I am going to say that this should be, let's say, 90 comma 10, and we end up 90 on the right, 10 down, okay, 90 on the x, 10 on the y, and this is the path that we have traversed, okay, starting from there over to 80 comma 10, trying to go from 80 comma 10, where 80 is the x, 10 is the y. We're trying to traverse from this point to this point in a curve format. So if I increase this to, let's say, 50 comma 10, I have a bulge, okay, because I am going to increase my x slowly as opposed to sharply. If I make this actually 10, so now I'm saying that x curves from the 10, and y is also at 10. So this is going to be my curve and going towards 90 comma 10. If I say that my y-axis is actually not at 10, it is at 50. Okay, so I am more down. X is 10, y is 50, so it is more down. It is flattening from there. What else can I use it to explain? So does it make sense what I did here? Well, of course, I cannot start and stop at the same point, so I'm going to say 90 comma 50. Okay, cool. So I hope it makes sense with respect to where we are going with this curve. We start at a certain position, and we need 3 points. So the curve, here are the 3 points of the curve. We end at 90 and 50, and we want to do a curvature there between that point. Uh, in this case, I want the curvature to be more elliptical. So I'm going to go for C 10 comma 10, 90 comma 10, and 90 comma 50. And now I want to do the same down. So I'm going to say 90 comma 90 is the start, 10 comma 90, and 10 comma 50. So now I have created an ellipse. Okay, this, the second curve is the mirror image. Basically, it started from 90 comma 90, and it needs to go towards like 1090s. That is the curve point, and we end at 10 from the x, 50 from the top. Okay, so that's how I've created a ellipse. Again, I've not used ellipse, I've created an ellipse using the curves. Okay, but it is currently filled. So let me actually copy this before I lose it. Hmm. It is currently filled. I can say that fill is going to be none. Okay, so it is not filled. If it is not filled, it is not visible. In that case, you can just say that there is the stroke color, and I want it to be gray. So now I end up with a circle which is not an ellipse which is not filled. So this is my path. Okay, this is the path, the solar system path that it needs to traverse. Who needs to traverse? Well, my circle. So I'm going to say that I have a circle with the radius of 5, and it is I'll have to fill the color. Yes. So I'm going to fill it same color as emulates red. So there's my circle up top, on top left here. But I want it here on this path. Okay, so we'll fix that. But for the time being, when you don't define the x and y coordinates of a circle, we saw that in the previous video, it goes on top 0 comma 0. Okay, that's the default. Now in my animate motion, I'm going to say that I want you to animate the same path as of the ellipse that I have created. So I'm going to copy this, paste it right here. So path is m10 comma 50, and like basically the whole path. This path needs to be animated. So my circle moves to the zeroth position of it, 10 comma 50. Okay, that is the zeroth position for my circle technically, right? So my circle moved from there to this mouse. Like M means this is the mouse move to 10 comma 50, and my circle has moved here. So it's on this one. And now we write the time, like let's say duration, it is going to be 5 seconds that you need to move, and the repeat count is going to be indefinite. And there we go. There's my circle moving along the path that I have given it. Okay, what if I don't have this path? It's moving. Okay, but that creation of path told you exactly where the circle is moving. Okay, that's it. That is our solar system. Technically, with one planet and no center sun. But you can build it now, right? You can kind of create a circle which is at the center of this elliptical path right here, and you have created a motion and animation which is to tell it that take this circle, you need to be animated, and you need to follow this particular path, and you have to complete that whole thing in 5 seconds, and you have to just keep on doing it. If I say you have to complete it in 1 second, okay, that will increase the speed because it has to literally complete it in 1 second. And what if I say you have to complete it in 10 seconds? That will make it slow. Cool. Okay, so I hope that makes much more sense now with our path and our repetition. I'm going to keep it 5 seconds so that anyone who works on this project later, they have a better idea. Okay, so this is all about SVGs. SVG is completed. This is from the website that I copied. Uh, Nothing else comes to mind. I think this is fine enough. So we learned about SVGs because we will transform SVG a lot, and I wanted you to know about what SVGs do, how they work. Let me just push this git add git commit dash m. This was session 2, animate SVGs, and git push. I don't have to force push because I'm not rewriting the commit history. And there we go. That is the second commit, and it should have only changes in the index.html file. I will share this again in the chat. Any questions, anyone? Anything so far? If not, we can move ahead. I'm going to assume no questions, and I'm going to move ahead. Oh. Okay, so the next one is where we learn D3, right? So this is the D day of learning the D3, and we'll start. We'll start with D3, and I think this D3 project will continue up until the next session as well. So session 3 will also have introduction to D3 kind of. And in session 3, then we'll start building D3 projects. Oh, let me come back on screen. So we'll start building D3 projects in session 3 only. And also let me see if I have any messages on okay, cool. Just checking if there are any questions on Discord. None of them. Nice. So I was saying like in part 3 we'll continue with the intro to D3 kind of, and then towards the end of part 3, as in the end of session 2 basically right now, we are going to start building some mini projects where we'll use D3 to its maximum. I want to build a line chart, a bar chart, scatter plot, and map. At least these are minimum four things that I want to do. And then we'll move to React. Now, the project that I have it in mind, I want to keep it a surprise because it's going to be oof, a very difficult one. But it would be interesting. It would be rewarding. Why? Because it will tell you how you use D3 to the best of its abilities. Okay. Cool. Let's start. So now for the next session, let's create a new folder. I'm going to call it D3.js intro. Okay. So D3.js intro, this will have another index.html. I'm going to close the port before, which was in the learn SVG. And now we'll start up the live server in D3.js intro. Not going to explain much here. I am just going to uh, title it as interactive D3.js tutorial. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. We are going to learn how to manipulate the DOM. Okay, so step one for any, like I'm going to tell you, but for someone who actually joins later or watches this project later, I want to leave them a note. I'm going to say, open your browsers, developer, developer console to see the console logs of data selections and manipulations. Okay, cool. Uh, I'm going to also style a bit. I'm going to call this one as styles.css. And once again, we start with, excuse me, sorry. I'm going to do a CSS reset first. And this one, I'm going to say link a CSS, which is style.css, which is perfect. This is fine. This is fine. HTML. The whole HTML needs to have a font family of Arials and serif. I'm going to say that the color of all the things should be grayish, and I'm going to say there would be a margin of um, 16 pixels and auto and padding of 0 and 8 pixels on all sides. Actually, let me apply this to the body, not HTML itself. And yeah, I think this should be good enough. Let me start the live server, not on CSS. Oops, that is a wrong folder to start the live server on. We need to start it on the index.html. So let's start a live server here. And it opened on my other browser. So let me move over to this one. Cool. Uh, all I've done here is just change the color of the font, okay? No, color of the text, not font. Color of the text. Make it more anti-aliased. So that is a note for person, but also let me give it a special class of note so that It's different looking. And for the note, since it's a class, I'm going to use it this way. I can say that the background color is actually F8, F8, F8. Okay, so white, and padding of 8 pixels, margin of 8 pixels and 0. Hmm, and let's give it a border. Border left. And there's a 5 pixel solid and salmon color. Okay, so this is an important note to the person. And background color, let's go a bit more grayish. Too much. Okay, so this is a note for the user that please ensure that you have opened this. Okay, I think a green would be a nicer color. Let's go to a color conjure and let's conjure a color. Love using this. Hmm, okay, cool. And we can make the font weight bold. Don't like it. Sorry. Cool. Anyway, so that is our cool. An initial note for the user, whoever uses this. Now let's start. What do we start with? Well, we want to start by importing D3, and you can actually find D3 min, D3.js, min.js. I think it is somewhere here. Hmm, I'm going to go for UMD and CDN. So this should show me the latest D3. Yep, there we go. Cool. So we'll import it as a script in on the top. src equals to that one and store. Okay, so we have downloaded D3 technically on our website right now. Where is not this one? This is done. This is done. This is done. This is okay. This is done. And this one. Oh, excuse me. I don't know what's happening to my throat. I think I've been talking for too long. But now we have access to D3 in our console. But we are going to be like, let's write some code first before we move a bit more into uh, stuff. So we need some markup, of course. Otherwise, what are you actually even selecting here? Okay, so if I do this one, UMD plus CDN, as you can see, I can use D3 by doing D3 dot something. Okay, so D3 dot, let's say, create SVG. I can do that on the page. I don't think it will do much, but you have access to it. Uh, okay, this is not defined, of course. Width is, let's say, 100. Height is actually 100. But where is it creating? It did create a SVG element, but it did not know where to add it. Okay, So in our case, we need to first create a container, find a container, and inside that we'll apply these transforms. So let's do that. Okay. Step one, I am going to say, how do you select an element and modify an element? Remember that this is not a charting library. This is a proper manipulate the DOM with the newest thing that you're typing, update the DOM is nothing but the document object model. Okay, so that is basically what you actually see here in the elements tab, that is the DOM. Okay, so we want to manipulate this DOM using D3. You can do that by using JavaScript, of course. You can say like document dot get element uh, by tag name, and you can say body tag, and that is the whole of the body. And now I can assign it to a variable const body tag equals this, and now I can do body tag dot create, no, I don't think it's create element, body tag of 0 dot create or add append child, and then you can say I want to append a p tag. Hello, not sure if this is correct. I'm going to give it a try. The parameter one is not of type no. A better would be an element actually. So I can say that ID of this one is going to be note. Okay, this would be better. So now I can say document dot get element by ID note, which actually highlights this note. And now I can assign it to a variable. So const note element equals this one. And now on the note element, I can say dot style dot background color, let's say, is going to be pink. And as soon as I do that, this changes to pink. If I change it to orange, let's say, there we go. Okay. So I can get access to an element. Now this is proper JavaScript, pure JavaScript, right? I have taken access to an element. I've assigned it to a variable. And now I'm manipulating the element. When I manipulate the element, the DOM changes as well. Okay, so in the DOM there is this attribute style which keeps changing. So if I go over to, let's say, green, okay, I've manipulated the DOM. Now you can do this DOM manipulation using D3 as well, because that's also a JavaScript library. Right now I'm doing using raw JavaScript to manipulate the DOM, but you can do it using D3 as well. Okay. So that's what I'm going to show you. How do you manipulate the DOM? Why? Because end of the day, if you want to do anything in D3, you have to just manipulate the DOM. Okay. Uh, so let's do that. I am going to create a h2 tag, and I'm going to say that this is the first thing that we want to do, which is selecting and modifying elements. Elements. Okay. Hmm. And to do this, I'm going to create a div. You can do these shortcuts where you can do hashtag, let's say, selection dash area. So this will create a div with ID selection area. Okay. Now I want, and you can also, hashtag selection area, and you can also give it a class name, let's say. So visualization area. So now I have an ID selection area and class visualization area in a div tag. Now I want hashtag P1. This is, oh, this, if you do just a hashtag and P1 or hashtag and P2, this means it creates a div element with ID that. But what if I want to create a P tag with hashtag P1? This means it creates a paragraph tag with ID P1. And I will say this is the first paragraph. I'm going to copy paste this, and P2, this is the second paragraph. Okay. Now, let's now that we have made some changes in the HTML, let's use D3. So in D3, you can kind of do a selection, okay, uh, using the D3.select. Let's do that. I'm going to say D3.select. Now, select needs some parameters. You can say that we can read actually more about it here. Hmm. Okay. So example, D3.select will allow you to select a particular thing. This is too much, but here we go. Dot select, let's say the body, or D3.select a p tag, or D3.select with hash, like the hash, which means ID. So D3.select a particular ID. So you can do stuff like that. In our case, let's focus on selecting our uh, div tag selection area. So D3.select hashtag selection area, which means it has done a selection. And now I can do something on it. I can say dot style dot background. I don't think that would work. Let's say T3.select on this, and I'm going to assign it to a variable first. Const my div equals this selection area. And now on my div, I can do a style, and I can do, yes, this phase. I can say background color. It needs to be blue. And as soon as I do that, the background color of the div element has changed to blue. Okay. So this is nothing but very simply uh, doing a selection, which we did right a moment before. Okay. The only difference is the way it is applied. So this is applying literally a very similar CSS syntax. Okay. So my dev.style with the background color and the blue. Now I could have done what I did before. Okay, let me just reload. Let me just clear this one, and I want to do the D3.select hashtag. What was it? Selection area. Do I have it copied still? Yep, I do. Selection area dot style, and let's say, or actually dot select the p tag. Okay, the first p tag, or the first p tag would be hashtag p1 actually, and then dot style, that one, with the background dash color to be, let's say, yellow. So ideally it should only style the first one. Cool. So does this make sense? Does the syntax make sense, people? What we are doing here. So let me create a script.js file and blah blah blah. Let's say select a div tag. Select the selection dash area. Right. Or select the div with this ID. We needed to do selection area and then we could style it. Okay, and now this is the second one where we select the div with selection area and the p with hashtag p1 and then we style it. Okay, so these are the two different things. So you can keep on going inside and inside and inside. You can keep on doing that nesting technically. Okay, that was the idea. Now you can individually select elements or you can select all p tags. Okay, so you can also do that. There are two p tags here, so I can do d3 dot select all the p tags, and I want to style them to have background dash color to be pink. This needs to be in inverted commas as well. So this should find everything. There are three actually. I forgot about the top one, but there are three actually, and it has selected all of the p tags and it has changed the background color to pink. Okay, so this is the third one where we do a select all p tags and style them. There we go. So that is the select and select all definition slash difference. But you can also do one thing. You can say, let's say there is another div, selection area 2, p1, p2, p3, p4. Okay, I want to select all the divs. Okay, so we are going into some of these. We're going into some deep waters, I would say. So let's just keep our focus on. I want to select all the div tags and style the background color. Okay, but actually, I want to select all the div tags, style the background color, but inside that, I want to select a p tag, hashtag p2, and then style it green. Do you think this will work? Let's see. There we go. Okay, so we select all, style all of them, but on top of that, for a specific element, we can, let's say, style it in a different manner. You may be thinking like, why am I focusing so much on styles? But because that's the easiest to show. So what are we doing here? Select all div tags, style them pink, but also choose hashtag p2 and style it green. Okay, so this is our select all, but also inside that select all we can also do individual select. Okay, what else? So this is all our selections. Now let's move on to addition, like adding something and removing something. Oh, by the way, one last thing about. mm, okay, let's see. Ignore that. So this was our H2 done, and now we move to another H2 where we focus on the part two, which is adding and removing elements. I'm going to call this interactive area class. Let it remain the same. And now we want to, uh, okay, let's have a p tag here. This is existing paragraph. Okay. And inside this, I want to, hmm, okay, I want to create another div tag here, and I'm going to say id equals append here. Hmm, okay, so we have an existing paragraph, and there is another div here, but because divs by default do not have any width or height, it is not showing it up here. But let's see, how do we append to this? So in D3 you can just append something. You first have to select something, of course. So I'm going to do a select, and the area is called append here. So append, not here, append area, append dash area, and it is going to be a hash because it's an id. So this is my append area. Okay, let's see. It has chosen a group and it has found a div. Okay, if I click on it, it takes me there. So let me clear this and let's go back. Dot append area. Dot. Okay. Now, well, the name says append, so of course it needs to be append, right? Dot append p tag, and let's see what is the dot append a p tag, and we can then technically, yeah, just stop it there, right? We can also add a text to it. So let's see, where did we go? Dot append a p tag. If I just do this, what do I have? In my append area, I now have a p tag, but there's nothing inside it. So let's again keep on going, and I say dot text, and this text was added from console using D3.js. And I do that, and there we go. This text was added from console using D3.js. And I can style that, right? So style it, and let's say background dash color, and that is going to be yellow. And there we go. This text was added, but the previous one was not removed. Okay, so we can keep on doing this, and it will just keep on appending. Uh, going to copy this one, reload. That's gone, but there we go. So select and append. Select a div and append a p tag with some text inside it, and that is our append. Okay, now if you can append, you certainly can also remove, right? If, of course, you can. So okay, removing. Da, 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 da. So let's take this existing paragraph and I want to remove that. So D3 dot select, oops, D3 dot select this interactive area and let's say a hash. So this should give me an array of one div element inside which I have a p tag and an append area. Okay, cool, no problem. So, and then can I do a dot remove on it? Yes, I can. But remove the what? The p tag? If I just do a remove p tag, do you think it will work? Let's do it. And yes, it does. Okay. Now I am left with nothing actually. Interesting. Uh, there's one p tag. Okay, there are existing paragraph 1, existing paragraph 2, and I tell it to remove the p tag and it removes everything. But I only want to remove the first paragraph, which does not have an ID or a class name. So I can say that you need to first select the first child, which is a CSS selector, and then let's see, does it select only one p tag? Yes, it does. And then I can say dot remove on it. So it removes only the first one and existing paragraph 2 still exists. Okay. So remove all p tags, remove a specific p tag without an ID. So we have two things. So let's go over to our script and we can say select a div and remove all p tags inside it. Oh, also, if I have p tags, and let's say a h3 tag, this should not be removed. So when I did that remove p, that this should not have been removed also gets removed. So the remove is actually not taking anything, which is a good thing to know because, well, I made a mistake there. You need to select an element first. Otherwise, you're technically telling it to remove everything there. Okay, you first need to select an element. So select, let's say all in our case. So select all p tags and then do a remove on it. So I made a mistake there. Don't remember that one. Okay, cool. Let's take this one. Select a div and remove all p tags inside it. There we go. Next one is select a div and remove the first p tag inside it. And that was this one. Okay. I think this is the perfect time to currently end. We have done modifying element. Okay, we could select an element, we can modify something. We know that to modify a p tag, you can do a dot text on it, let's say. You can change the background color. You can now insert an element and you can remove an element. Not insert, you can append an element. Okay, insert, append, and remove. Okay, insert is still pending actually. Okay, let's quickly do the insert. So I do this and then I say dot insert and I say the last dash child. Actually, insert takes two things, right? I think it takes the type of element and the last child. So So this will add a p tag after the last child, and dot text, and I'm going to say inserted a p tag here. And if I do that, there we go. So in this existing interactive area, it found what is the last child, which was the h2, and after that it inserted a p tag. We can say actually insert a h3. That's also fine. It says it should be h3 here. Uh, cool. So let's also add that. Uh, Select a div and insert an element after the last child. So we can do this, inserted a h3 tag here. Yep, cool. So we have done an insert, we have done remove, we have done append. Okay, insert completely creates a new one, append adds to it, adds to something, uh, remove removes the whole thing unless you specify a proper selection. And this is where we stop. When we come in the next section, in the next session, which is tomorrow for me, we are going to work with joins. Okay, so if you know SQL, you must have heard of joins. So join is the most powerful feature of D3. Whatever we did is was very basic, very minimal, but joins is where D3 has the power, because we'll have always an array of objects. We'll read data from CSV files, we'll read data from JSON files, and we want to join them together, bind them, add new elements, remove elements, sort arrays, so many things, right? Data joins is where D3 shines. Okay, and then of course there's transition, some duration related work, event handling, when someone clicks on something, when mouse is over something, like, event listeners basically, as it's called. uh, that's also where D3 shines. We'll look at all of that tomorrow. I'm going to end the session right now, but before I do that, once again, let me ask you for feedback. uh, okay, I have shared the link in the chat. If you open the feedback form, this was session 2. So this was D3.js and React part 2. Okay, charting with D3.js and React part 2. I know we have not reached charting, but please don't give that in the feedback. It's a 6-part series. I don't want to do everything on day 1, of course. uh, and yeah, give me a feedback. Any constructive criticism is welcome. Anything that you think that, oh, this could have been improved, this could have been done better, I'll appreciate that. If you have any good words for me, I would also appreciate that. That takes my morale high, that what I'm doing actually helps someone. And oh, also let me push the code before I forget. I do forget sometimes. uh, Git add git commit session 2. uh, Start with basic D3 transformations and git push. You can find the code base right here. I hope you all have the feedback link. Please do provide feedback. It takes like less than 5 minutes, but it definitely helps me a lot. I have received some positive feedback from the previous sessions, and that really helps keep my morale high, as I said. And I'm like, oh yeah, people do like what I'm doing here, and I want to improve on it. Okay. So, and yeah, you can find all the code here. You can contribute to it. And I don't understand this question. Sorry. Can I submit my previous projects? What do you mean? So you don't have to submit your projects to me. I don't really check or anything. Uh, what you can do is you can go over to the previous projects and you can take a look at the issues that are raised any in by going into the issues section, and you can try and fix those issues or add a new feature, remove a feature. So that's what I'm expecting you all to do, if that makes sense. Yeah, this is how I look. But also, Detective Conan has been my favorite anime. Uh, okay. If there are no further questions, I would like to end this session right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I hope to see you in the next one, the next session, which is tomorrow. I have 4 hour session again. We'll take it slow and we'll try and add much more interactivity to our D3 projects. Okay, we'll build projects. Any questions, anyone? Doesn't seem like it. No one's saying anything. I'm not sure if whatever I have taught has gone over everyone's head or everyone just understood everything properly. Okay. Anyways, after this one, you can, after this long, tiring session, you can enjoy a Scribble IO mini event with Kari starting after an hour. And yeah, just have some fun about Scribble. Okay, just take a look at how, like, play Scribble, make much more, make friends, talk about your experience with Global Hack Week so far, talk about what you're excited about season launch, and when are you going to have uh, what do you call, when's the release, the mascot. Yeah, talk about the mascot, and yes, have fun. Okay. You're welcome, and thank you so much. Cool. Cheers, everyone. Have a nice evening and enjoy your weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.